Hello, hello. Happy Sunday, everybody, whoever is here. Thank you for joining MyPraise App. Before we get started, we just want to thank the Lord for blessing us with an amazing weekend. We're blessing everyone who's watching this stream, who will ever watch the stream. We're continuing to guide everyone who is using MyPraise App and everyone who calls your name, Lord. We know that you protect us and love us and guide us. And we thank you so much for everything that's happened in the past. It's happening in the very near future. In Jesus' name, amen. So we're going to get started. Welcome to the seventh Code Along. Um, it's kind of funny. It's been around 7 weeks since we started the series where we've been taking a lot of feedback and incorporating it into our overall app and into our overall design. We're very excited to actually start sharing as we start transitioning since the app is live into the next phase of MyPraise app, where we talked about the content schedule, but we actually have a little bit more in store that we can't wait to start giving more people insight into. So stay along for the ride, and thank you for joining, and we'll get started today. So what are we going to talk about today, guys? So last week we started. Let's get it. Thank you, sir. My number one fan. But so last week we started with a few things where we wanted to set up our support site. I think today, and kind of as we get more stabilized and we kind of channelize our content a bit more, you guys will kind of get into more of the rhythm that we're thinking. But um, what we're thinking is like now we're going to start transitioning towards the implementation side. So the thought process is like last week we did more of the functional design. So as part of that design, we came up with this workflow. Freeform. And you guys have been a part of the channel. You'll have seen some of the stuff we made in the past, but let's go to what we did yesterday or last week. It was around our feedback loop, right? So what we wanted to do is we wanted to start with a support site. In essence, we'll have a new support website altogether, but we wanted to start with how do we actually get this into the app. So we ideated yesterday or last week together on the flow where we'll have the site or we'll have a screen on your phone that you can then click to see an FAQ, or you can also directly reach out or go to and leave some feedback, right? As part of this process, we'll create a new form. Right now, it just points to my Notion, so it's a bit, unprofessional. It's not refined. It's not the final vision that we have for the app. So we'll actually implement this form in the app, and then that'll take us to our back end where my support team and myself will be keeping an eye on all of your feedback and any kind of bugs that you guys may have. So that's what we'll focus on today, is implementing this. Now, as part of this process, we also wanted to implement a new website where people can actually go to ask for help as well. So right now we just kind of have our landing site where you can go and you can see the app, you can see what's new, you can see our banner in terms of the upcoming announcements. But we actually want to do is we actually want to implement a share feedback website. So there's a update coming up. So we discussed this a bit last week as well, where in essence we wanted to create this when you get the chance to actually focus on it, but I spent some time over the week to flush this out some more, where we started off with kind of this is very generic. We ideated with the bot a bit, and then we landed on these screens, where in essence we'll want to actually have this. Where's the final one? I think the final one is okay. Here's the final one. So so this is actually how the app is going to look when we get to it. So we'll have the new, how can we help? The support FAQ, how do we restore purchase? So these will kind of be what I'm thinking are the like FAQ cards. You can see it kind of says the popular topic, so we'll focus some time on that today. Ideally, these are going to be things we can even use on the website. And we'll also start implementing our custom milestone sheets so that you guys can share any kind of feedback that you get as you use the app, right? So when you log any kind of eligible milestones, we want to present one of these things to you without being too annoying. Or if you want to just directly provide feedback, we'll provide the sheet to you as well. So we'll look at implementing this in Cursor and Claude, and I've been loving Codex. So one thing that I am going to, focus on one day, and we'll record it, we'll do some content around, is which harness I think works the best. But so far, I've been loving Codex. So we'll actually use Codex for majority of this, and this will be how the new form looks like in our screens on our phone. This will be how the website looks like. So when you guys go into the website and request some feedback or want to share some feedback, this will be the new page for inputting feedback. And then this will be how we can actually get the overall portal set up. So we don't have any like logins yet. I don't think we will. We are looking at ways to encourage more engagement and community. But the goal of MyPraise App is not to become the next MySpace. So we want to find ways and balance to figure out how we make this place a way that we can communicate and we can grow and share feedback with each other, but also without getting to the point where it becomes another social media. Well, long story short, these are some of the things that we wanted to get to last week, but as we kind of get into a more stable cadence with the code alongs, I'm thinking like we'll have like a 2-week kind of long cadence where we'll do something really end to end, from design all the way to implementation. So with that being said, let's get right into the code. So yes, so that's the stuff that we'll talk about. So we talked about this in the website. A few other things that we'll also go through. I'll try to pepper this in, but in essence, today we had a great service for church where we talked about the category of faith that is built before the storm arrives. In essence, one thing that I'm thinking throughout this week that I just want to encourage everyone as well is category 5 is not about when the storm hits, I'm ready. It's about always being ready before the storm hits. Not saying that we're perfect because, as you can see, we're all human. But one thing that we learned today was that number one, category faith is something that we all go through. But before the storm hits, is that's where we practice on prayer and worship, which equals obedience, right? So that's the whole point of MyPraise App, that we want to be able to focus on prayer and worship, and hopefully obey God and continue to live in faith, because that faith produces strength that refuses to compromise during the storm. What's funny is that our pastor said, "Be 10 toes down with God." If you know what that means, it means that you batten down the hatches, right? So the Navy do this, and we're just blessed, because when we batten down the hatches, God supports us and protects us. We may not always win the compromise, but at least we have a God who forgives us and is going to always be with us. And then faith does not waver when the pressure increases. So one thing that you may know about Daniel, the story about Daniel, which is what this sermon was about, is that he was thrown into a pit of lions, and it was because he refused to bow down and worship the king. In essence, he had some people who conspired against him. That's actually the chapter here, Daniel 6:7-10. The chief rulers in the kingdoms and captains and wise men and rulers, they wanted to put a new law that said that the king had to be the person that you worship as a god, right? So for 30 days, they said that the king had to be the person that you worship. And this part is key because it says, and Daniel, on hearing that the writing had been signed, went into his house. And now he had his windows in his room on the roof opening in the direction of the Jerusalem. And 3 times a day, he went down on his knees in prayer and praise before his God, as he had done before. If you knew what that means, it means that he literally not just defied the king, he just kept on doing what he was doing, staying in faith. Because it doesn't say that he defied the king, but it said that on hearing that the writing had been signed, he still went into his house, and his room was always open. His roof was always open in the direction of Jerusalem. And he still went down and prayed, right? And not just once, he went down 3 times. So that's what we hope, we can kind of focus on this week, that I want to try to focus on this week. I want to try to use MyPraise App as well to help me stay focused on this third point. Because the 4th point is that we know that God is present in the storm, right? This one was, tied into the fifth point where it says faith produces a powerful testimony after the storm, because the fourth point really talks about how it's better for us to have God with us in the storm than it is for us not to go through the storm at all, right? Because when we go through a storm, we have a testimony to share. And then when we have a testimony to share, is because that's our trial. Our storm has a purpose, but our trial is a testimony, and then our struggle is a significance. Um, so a few things that I just want to encourage, myself and anyone who's listening to this as we go through this week, as we continue to worship and continue to just grow as a community. And we thank you for joining us, and we'll get started. So today we're going to focus on building out the support website and the support functionality within MyPraise App. Here is the flow that I just walked through. And I think what I want to start with is, let's start actually with the app. So we have the screens that we want on here. All right. Let's see how this looks compared to the actual. Okay, I'm trying to get this to be side by side. Okay. All right. So this is kind of what this new screen is going to be, right? You can kind of see this is like the inspiration, but what I really want is something that's more Praise App oriented, of course. So how can we help, right? So we'll have this screen and we'll say, browse FAQ. So we want this to be a button. So actually one thing that I've actually started to use a lot is I've started to use a lot of the dictation mode. So let's get that over, huh? So let's pull up my Codex, ChatGPT. We'll start a new chat. We'll choose MyPraise App.
What's on your mind?
Okay. So let's actually, because I actually, all right, stop. We'll stop this one. Because I actually started this already. I may actually want to use, that's one thing that, I always suggest, try to reuse your context. Well, I wouldn't say like necessarily use the same context, but if you know that you had a chat that really established at least half of what you want, like this feature's not done, so I want to go back to what I need to actually build out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to support. This is the I'm going to try to find some of those original prompts, and then I'm going to create a new chat on top of that, right? So, okay, let me find. Sometimes you have to kind of get creative with how you find your chats. There is one thing I'm working on. I won't share yet, but we do plan on making this a little bit easier so it can keep track of whatever important chats you have. I think it's this one. Okay. So no, it's not this one. This is how I actually created my original site. Feedback. Okay, here it is. Ideate MyPraise App feedback form. So those who join the exclusive community, one day we'll be sharing these. Right now, they're still on my screen, but I do have a plan on starting an exclusive community where I can share a little bit more of some of the sauce behind the sausage making. But what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to fork this and start a new branch, right? Okay. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I don't actually need to fork this. So let me close this. I'm just going to actually give it a prompt. This is another one of these prompts that I've been using a lot to just help me speed up and accelerate how I start building in the GPTs. This one I don't need to use high, so I'll do even like a medium. I can even do a light. I want to be pretty exhaustive on this prompt. So I'm going to say generate a handoff prompt to coding agent, which will include this in my okay. So I wanted to generate a handoff prompt MD. Sorry guys, I forgot to actually ask it. I still like to type, so I'm going to try to use more dictate mode. Right now, what I've said is generate a handoff prompt MD to my coding agent, which will implement this in MyPraise app. Let's add some more to it. Ideally, this prompt will also include the screens from paper and the experience so that the app can function the way I intend. Ask questions throughout the process to confirm the flow and to confirm the expectations. So I just use it there. Well, that worked pretty well. Okay, so as this is cooking, it shouldn't take too long. What we'll do is maybe we'll start working on the. Let's actually read what's happening here. I always find it's cool to understand what's happening. So right now it's reading through the files. It's going to ask me some questions. So I'll make the prompt visual and interactive. I'll make the prompt visual interactive. It will point the coding agent to the exact paper storyboards, include exporter screen references where available, and require confirmation checkpoints before code changes. After the existing app is mapped, before milestone rules are chosen. Okay, after the existing app is mapped, before milestone rules are chosen, and before final validation. I'm using the paper handoff workflow for this packaging step so that screens remain tied to the intended experience. So what's key is that it's this is where sometimes when we ask and we work with the other agent, we may peel back some of the restrictions. But in essence, what it's doing is it's going to generate a handoff MD as well as a bunch of files, screenshots, and expectations to the other coding agent. Usually, if you've seen me do this in the past, I may prompt with a cursor or actually say the agent name. One thing I've realized is that you actually want to be as agnostic as possible. Let the harness and let the platform kind of, understand the request without having to check against the name that it's used, right? So, yeah, I don't know if you call that token maxing or if you call that prompt maxing, but in essence, I just try to make sure that it stays focused on the ask. And then in situations like this, right, I'm also seeing that it's saying I'm using paper handoff workflow for the packaging and screens remain tied to the intended experience. Now, these kind of things give me more like a yellow flag than a red flag because it sounds like it's saying screens remain tied to the intended experience. I want it to work based on what works best for the app. So we'll have to just pay attention to how the app was implemented just to make sure it's not overly tied to this experience, right? We want it to flow with the app, not tied to storybooks and storyboards. So right now what it's doing is it's using the paper integration. It's using Claude to make the skills. And you see how it has my acceptance criteria. All right. So it's saying source library, keep archive relative file names visible. Okay. Use deterministic contact sheets for larger raster families. Okay. Okay, record sheet dimensions and item count, import with explicit dimensions. So pretty much what it's saying is, okay, the source library. This is how it's going to, I love this. telling you, sometimes you read this type of stuff. I used to work in Deloitte and CrowdStrike, and telling you, you would just hope and pray that your BSA will come back with this kind of acceptance criteria that is just intrinsic to not just the requirement, but the platform, right? Because what's key here is that it's saying that the acceptance criteria for the source library itself. So not even the requirements for implementing this feature, but the requirement for importing the source library. It's saying keep archive relative file names visible. So number one, it's storing the files with all the relative file names visible so that if I wanted to see it or if another agent wanted to see it, it'll be able to easily understand which file references to what screen, right? It says use deterministic contact sheets for larger raster families. Um, I can only imagine that this is talking about like when we talk about contact sheets, it's like phone. So a contact sheet could be like an actual surface that you may be touching on your phone. So saying, you want to make those large based on the sheet that's available for the user. That's what I'm guessing, but that's what, I'm not an agent. I'm not an expert. Sometimes I let it just figure out what's best. Another one says that it says record sheet dimensions and item count. So in essence, that's if I wanted to audit it, it'll give me the sheet dimensions and all the counts per, let's say, this sheet belongs to this family. It'll keep them all kind of together. And then it's going to use explicit dimensions to give us a track and count for the item counts. Import with explicit dimensions, so that way we get a whole image and then the system can render it or scale it based on what we need. Represent non-raster source families with an editable manifest index rather than screenshot of code. Okay, I got to see what this means. I think raster is that's like the representation of like a final piece of code. My understanding is, let's see. Okay. Classify the origin types and acquisition methods used to generate digital grid-based pixel data and GIS. Okay, Claude or Cursor. Codex, OpenAI, whoever. Thank you for telling me what this means. Preserve original archives outside the paper file. Paper is a navigable visual handoff, not the only source of truth. I love that. And then like you could go through each one of these, but this just shows that the system really does good amount of thinking. And if you give it good prompts, it's going to really make what you want. Something that's going to lead to results. So what it's telling me here, it is telling me that it includes the 4 exported paper visuals embedded directly in the prompt, detail requirement for all 6 native moments, exact feedback, MyPraise pages, and App Store designations, inventory first, and dirty work tree protections. I love that. So it's saying that it's always going to inventory itself and make sure that the work tree is not dirty by having all these, in essence, gate checks. You can see right here, completion gates. So make sure that it goes through different gates, and then before it moves to the next work tree, it closes that off to make sure it's not dirty. So 4 mandatory user confirmation checkpoints. We're going to make that 1. We'll see. Milestone eligibility and store kit separation rules. I love that. So in essence, based on what you have available, it will show that as part of the eligibility rules. Accessibility, motion, iconography testing. Love it. And then clear local builds versus test flight release boundaries. Okay. So let's see what it resulted in. Look at this. So I always get excited. Let me just copy this before. What we do then is we just come over here. All right. You just paste this. I'm gonna put this on high. And what I like to do is before I even start anything, I put it on plan mode. And there's a few things that you guys will see in the course that we come up with. Wink, wink, wink. It's not out yet, but we may do a course. But one thing that's key is the way that you actually go about building your code. So I know that this feature is going to be something that if I was to give a human being, um, it may take them maybe a week and a half, right? So I don't have a week and a half to wait with the agent, but what I do plan on doing is I'll have a plan. So what plan mode does is the agent will think out loud pretty much and then validate itself if it's going on the right track with me, right? If it's going on the right track with the prompt, and then it'll give sometimes options, but oftentimes it'll actually embed those options as part of the discussion, and then it'll evaluate and present a final plan, which gives you kind of what I just did with that previous prompt. So think about I'm doing a plan on top of a plan, and then on top of that, I'm going to then do another thing, which will show in the next prompt, depending on how the plan looks and if I feel comfortable, where we may set a goal, right? So these are very, you know, key things that you can use as part of your dev cycle, life cycle, and not just get consistent result, but get the best maximum efficiency when it comes to your code, right? So that's prompted this way. Codex. Let me see. I don't need to say codex. I would like for you to implement the handoff to generate and okay. You see now I'm getting nervous when I'm recording. That's all I can type. I would like for you to implement the support site on MyPraise App, as well as the functionality that's in this handoff file. Review with me any kind of questions or updates that you may have, and ensure that we make sure that existing functionality is not broken and users are going to have the best experience. Okay, so I'd like for you to implement the support site on MyPraise App, as well as the functionality that's in this handoff file. Review with me any kind of questions and updates that you may have, and ensure that we make sure the existing functionality is not broken and users are going to have the best experience. Okay, I like that. So now it's on plan mode. Let's kick it off with the plan. So now it's telling me, so what you guys are seeing are the content calendar. So let me actually not, this one, website. So I'll first map the handoff against the existing MyPraise app and public site architecture. Then I'll bring you the only product or rollout decisions the code base can answer. I'm using the MyPraise public site and durable contact intake guidance because this request combines a support website with feedback contact behavior. I'll keep the planning only for now and verify the current functionality before proposing the changes. Awesome. So I guess we're doing a little something unique. We're gonna actually try to do two things at once. I don't know if the AI is gonna be able to handle this, but usually I like to do two features. If I do two features, I'll do one and then the other. But I do want to test it out. But right now I was gonna try to do two random things at once. Both are gonna generate the support site, but one of them is actually gonna be the website, one of them is gonna be the app. So let's see how this works. So what it's doing is now the handoff. So now I get why it says it needs to. Okay, now I get it. The handoff turns out to cover two connected surfaces: the public support / feedback website and native iOS support / review journey. Prior project notes indicate the website routes may already exist in a private preview deployment. So I'm checking the actual checkout and current production URLs before treating this as a greenfield build. Good. So I know that I do have some level of support, but it's really just a link that takes you to Notion. So that's a good sign. That's not going to just create new screens, not going to generate a whole new flow. Was going to try to reuse and keep the same flow within the system. So now it's saying it's read the files. Okay. Shooting a bunch of, what you guys can see here is actually you can kind of see how it's not actually like looking at code per se, it's looking at markdowns. So one of the prompts that are part of the community that if you join a community, you'll have access to is our prompt for being able to summarize your prompts, right? So what I call that is I call it this. So there's one thing that we're launching tonight. It's some of our deliverables, or you can consider it deliverables, where in essence, I want to give back to you guys. So anyone who joins our community will get access to some of the things that make me faster as I build out my Praise app. And one of those things is this prompt, right? Summarize history and skill maker. So I literally use this every time I build something like brand new that I know I'm going to use again. Um, in essence, what it'll do is summarize the entire conversation. It'll generate a summary for the new features. It'll literally start classifying these as features, bug fixes, or technical notes, technical summaries. And it'll create a page in Notion and day stamp it. All right. One piece that is actually highly unique to anyone who's ever done this before is memory diagrams. Um, yeah, Claude and all the AIs are actually fantastic at generating ERDs and diagrams using the memory format, which means that it's actually, you know, it works within any kind of markdown tool, any kind of note tool, and it just creates flows for you. Right. So I make sure that the AI can generate a markdown for me of all the new functionality, and I wanted to show me within the screen that I'm using, and then add it to Notion. And the third thing is that I wanted to then summarize those into a memory for itself, into an internal memory, so that when I need to do something similar, it won't make the same mistakes twice. Right. Now, doesn't work 100%. I actually like it to make mistakes once in a while because then that's how we enhance and upsert our skills. Right. So that's where 4 comes in, where we want to update and upsert skills that may be relevant to the topic. And then the learn is that whatever new prompt I've used, I want to update existing skills. Right. And then the fifth one is just enable a skill to develop these features and capabilities in the future. And that's just like an official request, not just to create the memory, but then like to enable it. Right. Sometimes it may just enable or create the skill and create the memory, but it doesn't actually enable it. So I call this more of a stopgap, um, like a foolproof way of making sure you get a skill out of this prompt, no matter what kind of harness you use. Right. I'm actually going to use this for one of the things that we've done earlier, if we haven't done it already. But yeah, let's see what this has done so far. As you can see, it's actually still designed to be play on, so this may be a pretty heavy request. But it may actually just go back to this. Okay, so I haven't made the skill on this one yet. So this was the prompt that I used to generate the support site. And now I want to use this prompt that you guys are going to have as part of my MyPraise community to be able to summarize and add it to Notion, as well as add it to my repeatable skills. Right. And let's go back to how this is working. So now it's saying so far the repository confirms a real conflict will need to resolve. Okay, I love this. Let's see what it's calling me out on. Okay. So first it says, turns out to review journey. Okay, where was I before? Okay, so I've been thinking for a while. Well, the handoff turns out to cover 2 connected surfaces. We discussed that. I'm also using the in-app browser workflow for the read-only production check because a native handoff explicitly gates the app's feedback links on anonymous mobile behavior, not merely on source code or a private preview. No deployment or account changes will be made during this check. Yep. The design source is still available. So I'm checking the named paper boards and production icon handoff directly. This is read only and will let the plan distinguish exact design requirements from choices we still need to make. Okay. I love that. So in essence, it's using the paper MCP to be able to get the guide. Look at this. It's opening the file. I found the exact piece. So page name 14, share feedback, right? Come over here. 14, share feedback. Love it. All right. So I found that. Then it says so far. Okay, what else does it say? So far, the repository confirms a real conflict will need to resolve. The live website routes are still missing, while the native app already has an older launch time review notification that calls Apple system directly and marks the user reviewed, even though the Apple may not show anything. Okay. So that, I think it just found a bug. It's saying that people may click that. It doesn't route there anymore. Good to know. The new journey should replace the logic cleanly, not run alongside it. Yep. I'm checking baseline tests and build configuration now, so the plan includes regression gates. I love it. The support website is already implemented. Yep. Yes. So those are actually some things that I've done in the past. I wanted to make sure that this site had a way to scale in the future. So I already created backend sites to handle the support tree as well as handle a feedback tree, right? So saying that it's going to use my own inbox, it's going to use, yep. So it even knows my websites, it knows my emails. Yeah. Okay. And all 10 focus passed. Routes still rerun 404 on 300 ppx anonymous check. So I think 404 means that didn't work. So I don't know what that means. So hopefully it's going to fix that. The native app has no support landing or FAQ screens yet. Settings currently opens how to and feedback through tiny URL based Safari sheets. Restore purchases already has one correct authority. Okay. 2 order launch time flows conflict with the handoff. And 8 memory app review notification directly requests store kit and marks the user reviewed, plus a separate 3 memory, 14-day memory feedback reminder. Both are app open driven and can overlap conceptually with the new success driven journey. Okay, so it's going to revamp that. Okay. Okay. I think this is good. So I could read the plan now, but I want to actually look at the questions that it has. So what deployment boundaries should this work include? Website, then native. Launch and anonymously verify support and feedback on www first and enable native journey. Okay. So I think I'm going to say build the app locally, but keep web feedback unavailable until later public launch. I'm going to say app, then website. So 2, actually, no, guys, we've been using this, and it's been fun. I can't talk to it. Okay. So 2, app, then website. Okay. Which review time and policy best matches the experience you want? Conservative milestones. First invitation after 8 qualifying successes, 30-day dismissal cooldown, and store kit only after 5 more successes plus 90 days. Balanced milestones. First invitation after 5 successes, 14-day cooldown. Store kit after 3 more successes plus 30 days. I think I like balanced. I mean, 30 days is kind of long. I don't mind balanced. If people are annoyed, we'll change it. How should the existing feedback notification setting evolve? One combined control, replace both old launch prompts with one transparent support and review invitation setting. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. All right, so now this is cooking. What else do we have? So as this is going, let's talk about, I'll put this side by side so we can watch as this is being made. So far, the fact that it has no questions is good. It's scary, but it shows that this methodology that you guys are going to get as part of the community is actually, something that you can repeatedly use, right? You can see here, it actually has like full understanding on not just the ads, but also some of the gotchas, some of the deep history of the app. Yeah, so let's see. Is this the app first sequence you intended? Build native locally, launch and verify the website, then enable and validate feedback links before release. Okay. I like this. Local app site verify. Yep, that's correct. How should the manual rate MyPraise handout feel? Open directly, use clear button captions, copy, and then open the apps immediately with no artificial delay. Yep, we'll just open it directly. Where should the initial FAQ content live? bundle an app. Okay. I think we'll do remote content because we could do bundled an app, but then that just kind of gets you just have to always then update the app directly. But I do want this in the, so I might say hybrid catalog. All right. We'll start with, actually, I may actually want to switch that because I do eventually want to have this ability in the app to be able to like literally use the engine to praise, the praise assistant. Let's do the more complex and then we'll peel back. Yeah. Okay. So let's see as this is working. What else are we working on today? So now it's completed the initial prompt. So what it's done is it's developed the skill in the notes, creating a verified notion. So this is the page. So literally, this is what I do for pretty much all of my features. I want to make sure that I don't like to waste knowledge, things that we learn, and there's so many things that you learn from each, new feature. I may not read each one, but I mean, kind of see everything that's been able to do. Even did the handoff and lessons learned. So lessons learned, separate private feedback, intentional public reviews, and Apple's conditional review UI in both product language and implementation state. Use one web feedback component with visible source context rather than duplicating forms, while keeping presets editable and normal validation intact. Treat durable persistence as the public success boundary. Notification and acknowledgement independent channels with their own retry states. Verify the public endpoint before wiring the app to it. A paperboard passing build preview URL and save private deployment is not live route evidence. I love it. So these are actually four very different lessons. And as this first one's even talking about these are different surfaces, different UIs. So we need to plan for that when it comes to any kind of links. In essence, that's what it's saying. And it's saying use one web feedback component with visible source context rather than duplicating forms. So I think what this is saying is that based on the source context, which is, are you in public, or is this private, or is this Apple's conditional review UI, or just coming from the Apple's review UI? That's going to be how it validates that presets are editable. Okay. Yeah. So there's a bunch of good nuggets in here, and then it even gives you the diagram. Okay, so this is actually the diagram for how it displays milestones and requests. So saying launch error interruption or active modal ineligible, yes, no. If it's a yes, confirm qualifying success and cooldown satisfied. Then it's going to show the eligible custom notification. If there's no active modal or interrupted task, then it's going to present it. If it's dismissed or action selected, then it's going to be on a cooldown. So that way you're not going to see it all the time. That's when it's going to go to that question where it says 15, 30 days. So in essence, I chose 15 days. So in 15 days, it'll give you another eligible system event. Present surface is free, and then it's going to request it from the system. Oh. So in essence, the system drives when it again requests the milestone. So that milestone that gets put on the cooldown comes back in again and again. But first, it checks to make sure that you're eligible. All right. Yeah, this stuff is pretty interesting. So let's see what this says. Which hybrid FAQ implementation should we lock in? Native index guide links. Okay. Native index bundle searchable titles, summaries, and restore article. Okay. All right. My webcam is following me. So I think on this one, I may do something cool. So this is where I wanted to say I wanted for native, I'd like to use the MyPraise assistant. And what we'll say is, let's see, bundle searchable titles, summaries, and the restore article. Open the other three exact guide sections in app. So bundle searchable titles, bundle short native summaries, then send every deeper help action to general MyPraise pages homepage. So I kind of want, let's see. Sorry, my camera's in the way. I kind of want 2 plus this, right? So native index and then guide links. So bundle searchable title summaries and the restore article. Open the other 3 exact guide sections in app. Bundle short native summaries, then send every deeper. Okay, this is one of those things where you can actually change. I may keep this prompt later because I don't want to get too confused. Right now, this is actually going to change a lot. So if I choose 1 or 2, 1, in that sense, you'll always have this offline in the app. And then 2, you'll have a short summary in the app, and then it'll direct you to MyPraise pages homepage. It'll take you to my homepage. I think I'm going to do 1. How should support fit into the existing settings navigation? Okay, so I'm going to replace the links. What was the second option? Yeah, let's replace both links. Okay. I'll leave the app icon. I don't know what it's talking about. If paper, do not change my app icon. Okay. How's the camera looking? Okay, camera's looking okay. So now we're there. Okay, perfect. And then let's pull up my ChatGPT again. So now this is cooking. Let's see, what else do we want to do today? So pretty much we're working on that now. We talked about also the Code Along website. So this is coming today. This is my church notes. We got my support website. We're working on the final website now. This is in progress. We haven't finished the FAQ. We're actually going to focus on that probably this week as we do the filming for MyPraise App. So this stuff we've actually done here. We sent the thank you note. We have some more thank yous coming. So I'm going to say this is actually in progress. Complete. And this was complete like a couple weeks back. Okay, this one's actually the one that's been complete. The IG/. So this is complete. The other one's in progress. 12-1 deliverables. This is what we'll do tonight. So this is in progress. Did I launch this one already? Okay, I think I did launch this. So launch post. Yep, this is complete. Okay, complete. Use thank you. Go along deliverables. Okay, complete. So this is actually not complete. This is in progress. But what we do have is we have a few things we've done as part of this. So we have B-roll content that we'll share. I'm going to do the final YouTube deep dive. All right. Let's see. Support FAQ. Progress. All right, so we got these now cooking. These are some things that are going to be upcoming in the future code along. Okay. Let's see what this is asking. How should we resolve the custom milestone sheet app review risk? Automatic sheet offers private feedback only. Manual rate stays in support. Later eligible success uses output store kit. Sure. Enjoy MyPraise exactly as designed, except the higher app rejection risk. Policy says split automatic. All right, I want them to explain this. Explain this issue more. Where should the website phase publish support and feedback? Okay. How complete should the public feedback launch be? I do want a full durable launch for sure. Yeah, I'll do that. But focus on iOS. So let's see it come up with the full plan first. I'm going to want it to focus on the iOS implementation first. That way, ideally, we'll do the code along for another like hour or so, and then we can do the site subsequently. So what it's saying here is giving me a breakdown of what this meant. That asks for an explanation on what this risk is. So it's saying the risk is specifically about who initiates the review request and which UI asks for it. So Apple's own StoreKit documentation supports two distinct paths. A person can deliberately tap a persistent Rate MyPraise App control, which may open the App Store using the action Write Review. Apple documents this exact manual link pattern. The app can call Apple's request review action at a well-chosen successful moment. Apple controls whether its standard rating sheet appears. Okay. The handoff adds a third path. MyPraise App automatically presents its own and join MyPraise App sheet and asks the person to choose Rate MyPraise App. That sheet is not Apple's standard review UI and wasn't initiated from a stand-in support control. Okay. So Apple's current review guideline says apps should use the provided review API and that custom review prompts are disallowed. Okay. There is no incentive or 5-star filter in here, which helps, but the automatic sheet can still reasonably be classified as a custom review prompt. So there's no incentive or 5-star filter in here, but the automatic sheet can still responsibly be classified or reasonably be classified as a custom review prompt. Okay. My recommendation split preserves nearly all the intent. So what it's saying is fifth eligible success, neutral, private feedback invitation, share feedback, not now. Share feedback, not now. So 2 buttons in essence. Later, separate eligible success, Apple request review. Apple may show nothing. Apple request review. Apple may show nothing. So it's saying Apple may show nothing because of the API. Because Apple request review is a specific API that's called, okay? Third option is a support screen, always available. Rate MyPraise App opens the App Store Rate Review page. Agreed. This keeps public rating and private feedback available, avoids launch time interruption, and gives the release the strongest policy footing. The exact paper combined sheet can remain design governance or can remain design provenance, but the production behavior would be adjusted to current Apple policy. This is what. So this is why I asked earlier when I said just make sure that you can follow the behavior, but it shouldn't be script to what's on the paper. It needs to follow what the experience is. I think I like this. So it's saying automatic private feedback invitation. So automatic private feedback invitation, which is this one. Share feedback not now. Later, Apple system review request. And then third one is persistent manual rate and side support. I love it. All right, we'll go with one. So yeah, as this is cooking, let's see what else. So yes, so I want to release this tonight for you guys as part of our card long deliverables. That way, whoever joins these calls and whoever watches later can also have some of this in their back pocket. Feel free to use as much as you want, guys. Just asking that you give us a shout out and you download the app and leave a review. So yeah, we're going to prepare this for today. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I am back. Okay, so now let's see where we are with codecs. Okay, so this is cooking. And what we said is that we want to prepare the launch of the support or the go to one deliverables. Let's plan this one. So publish. So this is our current live site. One thing that's great about Obsidian is that you can actually publish sites live. Okay, it's acting up. Or I think it's saying that there's an issue with the custom domain. Let's try one more time. Okay, yes, this is wrong. Publishing into a custom domain, which I don't think exists. Okay, we'll come back to this. So this question is saying, if someone dismisses the automatic private feedback invitation, how often may MyPraise App show it again? Once per app version, lowest friction experience, and dismissal is respected until a later marketing version, okay? Yeah, I like this. So allow one repeat after 14 days and 2 more successful moments, then stop for that version. Yes. After someone chooses share feedback, let's see. So actually, I say 2 plus if they do provide feedback, show again after 30 days or upon new app version. I think that actually already captures it, right? Because it's saying, if I say 2, so allows one repeat after 14 days, allows one repeat after 14 days if they dismiss it, and 2 more successful moments. So it waits for, so if you dismiss it, it's going to wait for 2 more successful moments, after, and then after 14 days, it'll give you the reminder. And then if you reject it again, it'll stop. All right. So all I really care about is like 2. So I want 2, and then if they do provide feedback, she'll get after 30 days or upon new app version. So I think I'll just put that there. Because either A, the reason why they ask me is because Apple already handles that as part of the API, or if someone already provided the feedback, then I'm going to ask them again for that version. Or B, if I put that, it's going to actually implement it, and we caught that. Um, so yeah, the second question is, after someone chooses share feedback from the automatic invitation, when may Apple's separate review prompt become eligible? Yes. So which identity should receive the one-time code for the private support inbox? Mind you guys, this is still only plan mode. It hasn't even gone into implementation. It's just been after a user actually submits private feedback, which automatic invitation did you mean may return after 30 days? Wow, okay. So it's now locked in. So it's been thinking for the last hour, 45 minutes or so. Um, it hasn't touched one line of code. So that's how you know that I was gonna do the go mode, which is like a more refined plan mode. But yeah, the fact that it's catching all these questions and it's able to ask the questions, I think I think I trust it enough that I'm just gonna use plan and try to one shot this. Um, we'll see. So yeah, this is working. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna now come and say code along because I did create this before. I want to create a site where we can put code alongs. So I'm gonna Obsidian publish. So what I'm gonna do, I have a new subdomain for this one. Thoughts.mypraiseapp.com. Now let's try this. Oh, nice. There, it worked. Yeah, as I'm looking at this, I think I do want support not to be mypraiseapp.com/support. I think I might want it to be support.mypraiseapp.com because I could then do support.mypraiseapp.com/subpage. Um, I can even do my support.mypraiseapp.com/feedback. That could be its own subpage. Okay. So what this one is saying here is it's now saying that it's got the answers to my questions. Found one host in detail that determines whether the public launch is genuinely behavior preserving. And that is saying www.mypraiseapp.com is owned by the existing home worker, while the support build is a separate site's deployment. I'm locating the home worker source-config now so the plan can prescribe an exact path routing change instead of leaving that choice to the implementator. Okay. One interaction detail surface from your after they provide feedback rule. The form runs in Safari, so the app needs a trustworthy completion callback. Otherwise, it can only know that the form was open, not submitted. I'm checking the app's existing deep link support so that the plan can use the current routing rather than inventing the parallel mechanism. Perfect. The app already has safe praise app.deep link router. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Something that we implemented as part of the early access. Oh, so happy that we did that back then. In essence, so the website can confirm a saved submission without exposing the feedback itself. The remaining choice is how the person returns from Safari after the receipt is created. So it says after feedback is saved, how should the website return the person to MyPraise and confirm the completion? Show return to MyPraise after the durable receipt. Tap in it confirms completion without the direct app switch. So I mean, how does this work? So it says return to MyPraise app after durable receipt. Tap it, it confirms completion without abrupt app switch. So it's saying I didn't even know that that was possible because it's saying that it can have a completion loop where completion loop with browser and app. Because saying it can use an app deep link. Right. Open your app with URL. So it's saying that you can actually use a link from the web browser. That's pretty. If this is the case, I already have deep links, but I didn't know.
In this video, I want to show you how you can set up deep linking using custom URL schemes inside of your lovable native mobile application for iOS and Android. Deep linking is very cool because it allows you to synchronize your web application with your mobile application. Meaning if a user goes to a link on your web app, it will open that specific page inside of the mobile app if they have.
Okay, guys. I think we just came up with a new feature. We have to implement it in the future. That's what I'm going to do tonight. But deep link from the web page to the app. Okay.
The mobile app installed, and if they don't have the mobile app installed, it'll just go to your web app. So it's a great web.
Because I did try to implement deep links like way back during the initial app, but at least it didn't work the way that I thought it worked. Like each time I shared MyPraise, it will generate a 200 megabyte long file, right? But if this one actually is like I can build it now as part of a loop, then that is something we'll be implementing. Actually, let me take a note on that so we don't forget in the future. That's why I always say keep track of all your notes. All right. Because one thing we're going to do in the future is we're going to build that up. Okay, deep link from your website.
Web native experience, cross-platform experience. So let's set that up together. It's super simple. So let's start with iOS. We need to make sure that inside of Desktop, this is the framework, the runtime that we're going to use to turn our lovable application into a true native mobile application. We have web app synchronization.
Okay, I'm gonna watch that some other time or throughout this video. But yeah, we actually built our own app. So a lot of this is probably someone who used some kind of online tool to build an app, which probably doesn't have much in terms of all the functionality that we have in MyPraise app. But at least I have it being synced with the web. So something I want to look into. Okay, so back to where we are. So we have this now cooking some more. And it's going to do the deep link route so that the website can confirm safe submission without exposing the feedback itself. The remaining choice is how the person returns from Safari after the receipt is created. So this is actually very important if you're not aware of how like IT works and security, and if you ever heard the names like CrowdStrike, or if you ever heard of hacking or things like exposing sensitive information in URLs, this is actually what it means here. So in essence, what it's saying is that MyPraise app has this schema. Thing about like HTTPS, that is what this is replaced by. So MyPraise app has praise app, semicolon dash dash. Your website like Instagram has HTTPS semicolon dash dash Instagram. So MyPraise app has it like this. But then what it's saying is that I have an ID system as part of my schema where it can actually tag this URL to an ID that'll open up the page, right? And then what it's now saying is that so that the website can confirm safe submission without exposing the feedback itself. So that way, what's happened is that the call from the website or from the app to the website, that's not tracked. But the submission that the user may put on the website back to the app, that's going to have a call link like this to either render it on the app. I don't know how it's going to look yet, so we'll see what the app does. Or I'll actually like create maybe a new memory, and then that's going to be the ID that it attaches. Now, where it would have exposed the feedback itself is that it could have put a JSON string that would have been just like, Ike dash date dash location was asking to be able to do this, right? That could be how it's going to expose it in the URL. So I'm happy that I caught that because it's going to mask it and you're going to get it directly put into the app itself, right? So now it's saying that it's generated the plan. So the plan says extend the, oops. I'm going to hide this. So extend the already validated private support build into the native app and production website without touching unrelated dirty files. SQL native implementation behind disabled website readiness, production support launch, anonymous mobile verification, enable and fully validate the native journey. Preserve the existence of homepage, pricing, download guide, CloudKit, StoreKit, onboarding notifications, the memory/reflection behavior, the current private support, feedback, and support /admin implementation passes lint, build and then test the equivalent public. Oh, build and 10 tests. Okay. Build and 10 tests the equivalent public routes currently return 404, which is a success. Okay. Let's see. So I guess it's saying preserve the existing route, pricing, download assets, metadata. I guess we could keep it dash support. I don't like that's just nitpicky. At least this one is still going to have dash feedback. Let's keep it like this. We'll update it if we ever need to in the future. As you guys can see, you can do it now. Keep D1 as the receipt boundary. Say first. I actually don't know what D1 means. Let's Google what this means. Yeah, I think D1 stands for database. Create a production-only D1 database. Do not copy private review submissions. Configure term style, MyPraise App, and Praise App feedback. Send in from, okay. Yeah, it's pretty much everything's on Cloudflare. Okay. I think we're Gucci. Let's put this on high. Let's put this on advanced, actually. What is this, extra high? Let's put it on extra high. I wanted to just get it one and done. Not make any mistakes. So as this is cooking,
enabled. You can find this under add-ons, hard-coded, and then you go to web app synchronization, and you make sure that you have.
So what we can do is we'll watch this video and we'll so it has 7 steps. That's a good amount of steps. Inventory, repositories, data files, project structure, and exact support integration points. Implement native support screens, URLs, and restore outcomes, deep link, and settings and search routing. Implement the unified feedback/review engagement coordinator and focus native tests. Complete website callback, review URL, production security/readiness code, and test, correct? Run native and website builds, test plus simulator and browser Q&A, fix regressions, prepare production resources, and request explicit approval before public/worker domain changes. After approval, deploy anonymously, verify public routes, enable native readiness, and rerun final validation. Amen. Yep, that's a lot. So that's going to take a while. So as this is cooking, yeah, we'll look at this. I think we have a good time, so I think I want to focus on this. We'll focus on publishing the site. So yeah, so this is the website, or this is, I guess, our microsite. We have our code alongs. We have code along deliverables. I don't want this one there. I want to put inspiration links. I want to put like some church notes. The one thing that's kind of a pain is that Obsidian, it doesn't have a good native browser experience from what I can see. So what I want to see is, let's see if I can even search Obsidian, show URLs, and publish site. Okay, so it does say you can do social media link previews. So, when in doubt, what you always got to do is, what I usually like to do is I'm just going to go to see if there's an existing plugin. If not, it's something that we could create in the future. But what I just want is I want to see if there's anything that can help with this now. So we'll browse, publish. Export HTML from single files, canvases, and pages or whole vaults. The right access to export HTML files allows you to publish your digital garden anywhere. So it looks like this actually is more of like you publish to a specific website. All right, guys, we may need to make another. App. Okay. Looks like there's some plugins, but these are like almost random. I don't know if these are better than. Okay. I like this guy's website. Okay. I mean, these are all okay. I don't know if I like these that much. Yeah, it's just like another plugin. Let's see. So right now it's editing the files. So it's done the inventory. Yeah, there's a lot of things that it's done already. So the existing app already has a right global URL entry point and presentation state signals, so the new journey can be added without creating a second navigation system. I'm centralizing the thresholds and cooldowns in one version state object, which also gives us clean migration and unit testing seems perfect. So if I wanted to now say social media link previews, many social networks display a rich preview for your website when the user shares a link to it. Okay, using properties, you can customize how your note appears in the preview. So tags overwritten in this section are only visible by web crawlers. Regular web browsers are served the unmodified page for performance. So Obsidian automatically generates a description based on the content, but you can provide your own using description. So what I want is I just want image. So saying I can do this. All right. See how this works. So card link. I think that's what's blocked. Facebook.com. Okay. This may be the max of my code in progress. So how does this work? So this is a card link property. Okay. URL is this YouTube title. Okay. Host is YouTube. So I don't see why I can't show it. So I think that's the question I need to ask. I need to say show card preview or show card link. Hey. Okay, so auto card link. I think I already had this. Auto card. Yep. This is pretty cool. I want to read this, guys. This is mine. Obsidian TTRPG. Everyone has really cool websites. Okay, this one shows you how to drop body here. This is going to be part of our inspo links. This is what we also do on this channel is we want to give you guys the same inspiration that we got. So we're going to share this as well. The only thing I want to learn how to do is how do I also export. So I want to ask my good old handy codecs. I would like to publish card link box to Obsidian website so they don't want like this. So what's happening here is we'll even just give it a screenshot of what it looks like right now. Okay, so as this is working, what I can now do is let's go back to our work in progress. How's this coming along? This is coming along. So it's saying the app already has the right global URL, the native project structure. Okay, we read that last. So since then it says the native project structure is valid and the first build reached Xcode sandbox preview macro limitation before compiling app target. I've rerun it with latest Xcode service access. This validation does not install or submit a build. Okay. I mean, let me see if I can launch it on my own. And here I can see, yeah, it's made a lot of changes. Let me close this and then let me reopen it. Since there's a few new files, you always need to close and reopen. That way you get the freshest metadata for your apps install. Okay, perfect. Look at this. It looked through all my plugins on this city, and it said the desktop auto card link community plugin turns card link YAMLs into visual cards inside of City. What Publish is currently sending the fence through an ordinary code block. I'm checking the supported Publish extension surface and the plugins generated markup so the website version can match without rewriting all of your notes. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Please do not rewrite my notes. All right, so as this is coming, we're going to start the build. And hopefully, you guys can also see. Oh, well, my light just went out. It's going to be a little dark. Let's see how it looks on cam. That's not terrible. All right. Still building. There it is. That's impressive. It one shot of the entire build. So, and I think that's like about 3-4 screens that are brand new. I'm very impressed. And now what I'll do is I'm gonna build it on the simulator. That way we can watch together how it's coming together. Oh, I can't wait to show you guys how this looks. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So now let's see what this has done. So I found the cause. AutoCard renders this. Okay. Your current publish site has no custom domain. Obsidian only permits publish.js. You needed to convert these blocks automatically when using custom domains. I do have a custom domain. So that's good. But it is good to know that there's options. But let's just make sure that it knows the custom domain. Okay. There is a custom domain applied. Okay, let's see how this is looking. So this is going to run for a while, but I think with the time remaining in our code along, we'll do a quick demo of how it's looking in the app. So far, it's looking really good. So I can show that, and we'll keep the website running. You guys are going to see it go live, and we'll launch a post. We'll share all the content as well. Before we leave, we'll publish the site. Okay. Yes. Thank you for not gaslighting me, Codex. I forgive you this time. Okay. Let's see. So let's see how this is looking so far in the simulator. Well, actually, I'll show it directly on my screen. So if you can see my screen, you can see the app. All right. And then when I click my settings, there's now a new feedback button, which is perfect. Let's see where else it added the feedback button. Before, you'd have seen just like just seen like a map icon and a bright like a light bulb icon. That was for feedback, and that was for how to use. But now there's one consolidated feedback button. We can navigate to what we need to from the page itself. Come to here. We'll see if it's anywhere else in the app. Okay, perfect. So it does have some additional sections here. Support, stay informed, privacy policy. Let's click support. Perfect. Then it goes to the support page. And that should be the same thing that I get over here, where I can see the support. You can browse the FAQs. It'll take you to MyPraise App how-to guide. You can share your feedback. Okay, this will take you to the support form, which is going to be an email. So that's going to be the last thing that it works on. We can restore your purchases from here. When you click memories and gallery, this is going to take you to the end-to-end guide. So I can actually point this to different parts of the URL. All right. That was awesome. Privacy and iCloud sync. Okay. And this takes you to the pricing page. Right, MyPraise App takes you to the web page. Awesome. I don't think I had that before, so I love that. Okay. MyPraise pages takes you to our blog. Privacy policy takes you to privacy policy. And you can search. I see iCloud. Okay, there it is. Let's look up new. Something for new. So this is gonna be our new like support portal, guys. Right now it's still bare bones, but it's meant to be bare bones. We're gonna work on it throughout the next couple of days. It'll probably come with the next release of MyPraise App. But yeah, you guys were part of the initial inspiration and how we worked with Codex and Claude and everyone else to kind of just build out the screens, and now it's live. At least there's a working prototype in the app. And throughout the next couple of days, we'll go through and we'll refine it some more. Now, in the meantime, let's see where we are with our code along webpage. The same custom domain is live. Okay. So it says use custom domain path, add a root level renderer, and match the styles. Preserve all existing card blocks and verify real site. Okay. The custom domain is live and points to the published general notes. I also confirmed the raw card YAML is present in the public payload. Okay. So it's saying first implementation is working in a local preview. Raw fences are replaced with clickable cards. Ordinary code blocks remain unchanged. Images degrade safely, and the layout has passed desktop mobile checks. So let's see. I love how it's even using like Playwright. It's using Puppeteer. It's using all these systems to validate the work. So, yep, keep it up, Codex. All right, so I don't know how it's saying that it saw the card. How did it do this? Okay. Yeah, this is exactly what we want. Something like this. All right, so what's next? So how's this coming along? The exact icon path is clean and both in the simulator build. So how's this is working? What's it doing now? The native app build now succeeds. Yep, I was able to use that as well. One visual detail surfaced in the acceptance check. The new support screen still used a few generic Apple symbols for utility actions. I'm replacing those with the exact handoff utility artwork so the native and website journeys stay visually consistent. Exactly. The exact icon path is clean and both the native simulator build and website lit now pass. Excuse me. I don't know where this came from. I don't know where that came from. Sometimes that's where AI does get a little sketchy. It can just do things on a computer. So let's see what it did. Okay, so publish it through here. Okay, let's see how this coming along. Yeah, still looks like it's not showing the thing yet. Okay. But what it's saying is that this one is replace it with the utility icons that I want. Okay, it's using. Wow, that's cool. It's using Obsidian. Okay, so what I tried to do there is was trying to use my Obsidian app, but I was using my own mouse, so it was getting confused. But for this one, it says the site suite now passes 13 tests, including real cryptographic access token test for iUser, audience, exact owner email, expiry, signature tampering. The Focus iOS test compiled, but the existing host app crashes during simulator test bootstrap inside the pre-existing Cloud Sync initialization before any test runs. I preserve the results bundle and will keep that clearly separate from the support code results. I'm now inventorying the current production worker rollback version that require Cloudflare resources. This read-only preparation. I'll stop and ask you immediately before any public worker or domain ownership change. Okay. So that is what it's saying is that it's implemented the iOS screens, but these iOS screens, they're not pointing anywhere. It's going to start working on the Cloudflare and the web page. Is going to ask me before it connects and does the publication. So that's good. Okay, so now it's saying I'm now inventorying the site suite now passes Okay, so it's, what is this? Okay, so I'm not inventorying the current production worker rollback version, so it's done that. The production inventory is now concrete. MyPraise app is owned by the home worker, and its current 100% rollback version is preserved as version 21. Okay. And unfortunately, guys, if you wanted to hack me and you want to get through Cloudflare, you're going to have to do the captcha. Then I'll prepare the production only database that's configured without moving the live host name. Current styles required. Authorization check found that the current Cloudflare login does not include the dedicated turnstile edit token. Okay. So it needs a turnstile token. I may need to either provide it. I may literally just even ask it. Okay. Well, how are we doing? Only a few more minutes and then we'll call it an evening, guys. Okay, I think Obsidian's trying, ChatGPT is trying to do something. I think Bizarre is trying to use my computer when it actually has its own tabs running. So maybe he's trying to fix that. All right, this is working on the website. Pretty much the app version is done from like a initial implementation perspective. It caught that it used some of the placeholder, like more generic app icons that come with the, with Swift, and then now adjusted these to match the Praise App design philosophy and probably some of the icons we already have. So we'll launch this one more time. We'll see how that's coming. This one is fixing the public link, so when we publish MyPraise App, we'll also share the links and the codes. In the meantime, if you are on the chat, you can actually access the site now. Let's actually publish. Let's see. I should be able to now just use this. There it is. Uh, Let me just, before this goes too crazy, read. Okay. Let's give it a quick spell check. Okay, that's looking good. Awesome. All right, guys. Let's see. We'll do one more test. Now that this is cooking, we'll go back to here. I'll make sure this is running on my device. Let's see what ChatGPT is doing one more time. Okay, so it's done this. Okay, so what I'm saying is that I need to publish these guys. So I need to publish .js. Okay, publish.js and .css. These are things that we're going to definitely do more on this in the future. Because I don't know what this means, but it seems like I think I know what it does. What it's doing is it's created its own pretty much plugin that will render the card link as a JavaScript component, which you can click on, and then you're going to be able to interact with. So, yeah, this is definitely things that you'll never have been able to do if it wasn't for coding. So, what is this now looking at? When I go back to this, I'll publish into MyPraise App, MyPraise App macro. It shouldn't be. We're going to this guy. I custom domain. Okay, back. And okay, still not showing it. So I showed it like this. Okay. All right. So here's the app. Let's see what new icon is used. Okay, so it's still kind of having that old utility icon at the top of the page. We'll fix that. And it has some of the more custom icons that we've shared in the past. If I click share feedback, it shows me this. If I click browse FAQs, it opens up our support page. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot to end the stream for tonight. Be on the lookout for more published content as we prepare for the next release of MyPraise app and some new things in the future. And definitely stay on the lookout because we're going to be recording and showing a deep dive into MyPraise app and how to use all the features within the app. So that's coming out very, very soon. And we thank you for joining us. We hope everyone has a blessed week. And we thank you for supporting. Thank you for being here. In Jesus' name, we hope you guys have a blessed week and you have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you for coming.